Don't return this to sender. It's time for Architecture, Coffee, and Ink. Hello, this is Hollywood C, and you're listening to Architecture, Coffee, and Ink, a podcast dedicated to introducing concepts, detailing out designs, and tackling the architecture you might not realize the meaning behind. I'm your hostess, and I'm here today to start introducing you to the designs that make you wonder why. So I ask you to brew your coffee, grab your sketchbook and pen, and let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Architecture, Coffee, and Ink. I am excited to bring yet another episode. The summer is slipping away at an incredibly fast pace, and I still haven't finished unpacking all my boxes yet. It seems like getting settled into a new place always gives you so many new opportunities and so many new places to explore. I probably sound a bit like a broken record, but that really has been my primary focus lately. But as the season starts to change and we head into my favorite time of year, spooky season, slowly my to-do list whittles away. And with that, I'm excited to announce some upcoming, exciting new episodes for spooky season that I have been working hard on. But first, let's focus on today's episode, a very special delivery, an interview with Jeff Kudas. Of course, the hardest part of this episode has been avoiding the potential for mail puns. The thing about mail puns is it's all about delivery. Before we begin the show, let's introduce guest Jeff Kudas, co-founder of MB Sentinel, an entrepreneur, CEO, and published author. In this episode, he discusses the ways that he and his company utilize design to make package delivery safer, as well as provide some interesting insights into starting up, having a strong foundation if you yourself are interested in becoming an entrepreneur. And with that, please enjoy the episode.
Hey, Hollywood.
Hey, how are you?
Doing fantastic. And yourself?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you so much for joining us. First and foremost, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you join. But before we dive into the details, perhaps you can introduce yourself and your company to my listeners?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on the show. My name's Jeff Kudas. I'm the co-inventor and founder of MB Sentinel Enterprises. We're a modern mailbox and parcel safe manufacturer located in Stephenville, Texas.
So all the way in Texas. You're pretty far from me. I'm up in Philly, so.
There you go. I spoke to someone there this morning. So.
Oh, really? So now, of course, we have to talk through your backstory. What led you to where you are now? And how did you recognize a need for your product?
Okay, so, going back to my early years, I worked in craft a lot, which means, sheet metal fabrication, just always was intrigued by, anything that I could just put my hands on because I just love creating things. Fast forward a little bit, found myself working in public utility for about 10 years, thought I wanted to work for a large corporation. And that seemed like the perfect fit for me at the time. But, once I was inside there, immersed myself, had sponsors and started to open up my world to, joining the corporate side of the business, I figured out very quickly that that wasn't me. So I went back and rejoined our family business. My family started a natural health products company, which is more, small chain of health food stores back in the 80s. So, somewhere in the mid 90s here, I joined the family business and say, well, I'm going to figure out who I am and how I fit into this world. And I found myself inside of natural products retail for, almost 17 years. And then, as we all know, Amazon starts to come on the scene. And, back in the day, I'm sure you were, I don't know if this is probably, before your time, but, when Amazon first started selling books, it was okay. It's like, wow, Border Books and, all these other bookstores, wow, I wonder how that's going to impact their business. And we watched that happen. And then one day, I remember when Amazon started selling diapers, one of the first things, I was like, what are they doing? And I thought to myself, it won't be long before they start selling more than just diapers and more than just books. And I could really understand, the magnitude of how the internet was going to change shopping. I mean, back in that period of time, we were more familiar with mail order businesses and things of that nature. In the days of dial-up, things were moving a little bit slower, and not as many people were as comfortable shopping online. But I thought to myself, wow, we're going to have to really work hard to embrace this new way of shopping, and we're going to have to work hard to make certain that we can compete. So I worked through that and probably spent about last 10 years of my retail wholesale career in natural products retail, working hard to diversify my business to maintain a foothold in the marketplace and to take care of our customers and, just to keep that company going. Well, through all that persistence, I determined that, wow, it's time to make a change. There's no way we're going to compete at this level. And you think about how many stores, brick and mortar retail stores, have closed since everyone's gravitated towards online purchasing, as well as since COVID as well also. So I chose to close our stores in 2016, and I thought, well, I'm gonna have to reinvent myself and figure out what I'm going to do, or go to work for someone, right? So I started just processing that and had some ideas, and then one day I had someone come to our home to deliver a package, and I hadn't been home in, gosh, like 17 years, Hollywood, during that period, because I was always busy at our brick and mortar retail locations, right? So I never was really familiar with the home delivery experience, or how that had changed. And then it seemed like the next day another package came, and another package came, and I'm like, I was home officing, then I thought, wow, someone needs to reinvent the mailbox, because it's like, this is just crazy. My mail carrier was having to not only deliver our mail, but now come to our home, and I was just watching how much her workload had changed. I felt so responsible for some of that. I thought there's something needs to change there. I just recognized that, because I'm always the type of person that's, when I see things I worked hard, I don't know why, but I just always think, how could we improve this? It's just the way my mind works. So that resonated with me, and a little bit later I thought, I'm going to look into that and see, because it just wouldn't leave me. And I thought, well, I wonder if anyone's working in this space to develop, just to see what they're doing. And I figured out that very quickly that there was no one really doing a good job of that. And I thought, well, there's a place for us to develop a consumer products company possibly. And I felt like the place to start, since I was starting over in my business life, I thought, I've got to find something that's sure to work. What's the least path of resistance, and what's going to develop the best assurances for us as a new company to survive in this new marketplace? I mean, heck, I've already spent 17 years working with third-party products and realized I did not want to do that again. So if I was going to do something else, I was either going to shake it or bake it, right? So I decided I'm gonna start this consumer products company. And I thought, well, I have the experience from my earlier trades careers and worked in sheet metal fabrication a bit, not enough to be proficient in it at this point, in time when I had the idea. But I thought, well, I'll work to discover more about that. So I developed the first prototype, with the first idea that I had. And then I took that idea out there and started to understand what people thought of my product. And from there, we've evolved into this manufacturing company that provides a variety of package and delivery safes, depending on what the requirements are that people have. So it's pretty exciting. We've been doing this since like 2017 now, is when we actually formalized the business, but it really didn't start to develop as a business until like 2020. It took us a little bit, which, gosh, over two and a half years to develop all the ideas for all the different types of products. It's not like you just go to market with a consumer products company and an idea. It's like you have to, lots of homework and lots of preparation to develop all the supply channels and things like that. So in a blend of all my business experience as well as craft experience, I find myself in this place now where I'm in the middle of a huge opportunity to develop, one of the nation's fastest scaling, startups with our products, and we're just having a great time.
Yeah, it's interesting that it started in response to another company. I mean, yes, the Amazon switch from books was a little bit before my time.
Yeah.
But I do remember my parents talking a lot about how much it impacted them, like this idea of digital and like delivery service. So it's very interesting that it was done in direct response. But listening to your story, I feel like you have a lot of experience both as a CEO and a leader, especially through all of your variety of careers. So for all of our young designers, dreamers, and everyone in between, what advice can you give about starting over or taking a chance on a new opportunity?
When it comes to that, I think what people have to understand most importantly is likely their difference, right? So where do you fit in? What is it that you like to do, and what are you most proficient at? So I think once you understand that about yourself personally, and then you start thinking about, starting something new, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you love to do. It just has to be something that you can immerse yourself in, and maybe you just love the results of that. Like, it was never my idea to be, I want to build these really cool mailboxes. Building our products was just something that was just a byproduct of an idea to build a great company. It's, and just fortunately, I have the intuitiveness, one, to recognize that there's a need for that. So most importantly, when you have an idea, and if it's something that you like to do, you need to measure what's going on in the marketplace. If you're building a products company or a service-based company, you just have to work hard to try to understand, well, what type of impact will I have as a new company, and what is the longevity of that? And ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the most important thing. And I had someone I spoke with early on that really helped me, make certain that this was a huge priority for myself to understand about starting this new venture. Was you have to make certain that it's built to be bought, right? Can you sell it? At the end of the day, you think about it, and if you can't, you have to understand, well, along the way, what can I harvest from the business that's going to support my lifestyle, as well as all these other ideas that you have that maybe you want to have an impact on the world with, right? So you have to look at it from a variety of things. One, do you have to love the idea of what you're actually doing? No, but do you have to love the idea of maybe what you can accomplish with that idea? And then also understand, how can I grow and nurture this opportunity, whether you want it to be a generational business, with your family, or if you want it to be something that's built to be bought. Either way, you really have to try to look at it from all perspectives, from where you start to where you would like to see yourself finish, even if you don't plan to ever quit. But you still need to, I think, go through that thought process.
Okay, that's very good advice, especially the difference between built to buy and generational. I think there's a lot of assumption depending upon where you are in the world, like
Yeah.
how you're going to do that, and that kind of builds into it. Have you noticed that? I can't quite remember. Does your product ship, are you mostly America based, or are you also overseas as well?
Currently mostly America based. We have shipped Canada. And, we've shipped Hawaii, which is also the U.S., but still, logistically speaking, it's like shipping overseas, right? But we do have our patents. We've already made application for those and trademarks internationally, in some of the key countries that we feel like are great targets for us, from the
Okay.
UK to Australia and so on.
Well, I wish you luck on your growth. I hope it happens for you. So looking at your designs show a lot of thought and ingenuity went into them. Can you talk us through the design process?
Yeah, so the first design, it was relative to my home experience, my home delivery experience, and we had a mailbox at the end of our driveway. So, I mean, it's not like a standard driveway in a community. We have maybe 6 homes on our street, and it's a cul-de-sac. Driveway's a little bit longer, so hence I noticed the extra work it took for the carrier, of USPS to bring that package to my house. So I thought, well, we need to make a combination mailbox and package delivery box, something that'll manage both of those challenges that carriers were having at that time. And as I started that process and went through the motions of building the first prototypes, I took that prototype out to builders and architects to discover what they thought, and started going to home and garden shows and things of that nature, just to get feedback to further understand what else people were looking for. And that's how we went through the integral portion of the business. So the first builder and architect I met, they're like, Jeff, we don't need that. We've got bulk delivery mail systems in all the communities that we develop now. Why would we need this? We don't even place mailboxes any longer. And so that, made me think, well, gosh, I think the parcel box is going to replace the mailbox. And that's when I decided, well, we need to remove these components for letter mail and maybe just have a straight parcel box. But it doesn't mean that we needed to discard the mailbox combination package delivery safe. It's just led us to the thought process that not everybody, even though they have the same challenge, it doesn't mean that they have the same requirements. So not everyone required the same solution, just depending on how they lived, whether they had a gated property and they needed something outside, where the carriers could deliver without entering their property, or if they lived in a community development where they just needed a wall insert on the side of their home so packages could securely go into their garage. And everything in between, from, we've done very well with the estate and luxury side first, which is honestly where we cut our teeth in this business. It's like, as soon as we started creating something of quality, it's like all these high-level architectural firms started calling us, going like, wow, can you help us develop this, this placement for this estate? And next thing you know, we were just enthralled with the opportunity to work with some of these high-end architectural firms. We've done a lot of great work with them. And it's really helped us understand, just by listening to our clients, what the needs and the challenges are that they have, to help us further develop the features and the options that we offer.
So following up on that, does MB Sentinel identify and address architectural and/or client concerns? And do you differentiate between those two?
They really all very synergistic. They go together. So the architects, they're working hard to make certain they come up with a solution, in my opinion, based on my experience, that also is very aesthetically appealing, right? They want it to
Mhm.
work within the confines of traditionally what an entrance looks like for an estate, for example, where, you start looking at, trying to develop a wall insert for a wall column. Well, that's all easy enough to do. And we've actually completed those custom types of model opportunities for us. But where I think that architects need to look at this differently is that for the volume of package delivery that people are getting nowadays, it really it goes beyond the confines of what you have to work with a wall column, right?
Mhm.
So, and a lot of times in these applications, you have property management people and others that are managing this activity. But I think that where we're leading trend right now is for our large package safes. It's a 48-inch wide package safe. And we
Mhm.
call it our XL48. So you can imagine columns aren't 48 inches wide. They're typically, between 2 and somewhere under 3 feet, depending on the type of entrance. So I think that, through the opportunities that we've helped other architects develop placements, either maybe at rear entry delivery locations or something, outside of the wall column entrance, adjacent left, typically, for our package delivery systems. It just really depends on what they want. Do they want rear door retrieval access, or do they want it to be something drive adjacent? So there's a lot of small variables in there where we work to accommodate, the passion of the architectural people and those involved in trying to develop and design the actual experience for those homeowners. So
Mhm.
it's but and having an opportunity to work with them when people in architecture, if they would just take the time to maybe understand what our experiences are that we've had an opportunity to develop with others, we could help them maybe further expand their thoughts on how they could incorporate a feature like this for their home or commercial application based on what we've already discovered. It's just a new way to start thinking about things, I believe.
That's very well said. I guess that kind of answers what I was going to ask you was what do our design students listeners need to consider? But you kind of covered that already with
Yeah,
what the architects. Did you have any additional advice just for the students or?
you know, gosh, I would say, we really work hard to make the effort to speak with those that have interest in developing a placement. And really, there's not a dumb question. If there is, I can probably answer that most easily, right? So I know, but I think it's just more about you just have to think outside the box. For example, where things started to become visible to me and what the requirements were. So when you think about a mailbox, you think about
Mhm.
the location of that box, and usually whether it's in a right of way on a farm to market road or a country road, or if it's, curbside, you have to think, well, does curbside mailbox, of course, it probably makes more sense for letter mail and packages to be delivered there. But when you think about, right of way placements, it's more important to me, you start thinking about safety and where would those placements best be located for both the homeowner and the carrier to make those deliveries. Because we're
Mhm.
delivering more than mail. It's like, there's it's great to have a perspective for, additional safety, opportunities by just moving the placement, not being stuck in your ideology. Well, the mailbox is here. This is where the parcel box needs to go. I see that happen often. It's like, you really need to likely maintain your traditional mailbox and likely just go with a package safe, that's, drive adjacent in those types of applications. So just because you're used to thinking one way, it doesn't mean that you don't need to think outside the box when it comes to package delivery.
All right. So, from the research I've done on your company, I'm interested in learning more about some of the innovative solutions that you have provided. Could you explain just a touch more about the various ways that your mailboxes can be used? I know you mentioned like inside of the building directly versus like standalone or.
Sure, sure. And that's a great question. What I'd like to point out first, when we think about, manufacturing our products, we always think about ergonomics and ease of
Mhm.
use. Especially for the consumer, that's purchasing the product, but also for those that that have to work on them as well. If provided there's a maintenance issue, or say in time they want to add additional features that come available. For example, say if UPS or FedEx says, "Hey, we want to integrate our technology with yours," they may eventually have a scanner on a box to help unlock a box. So we work really hard to make our solutions where they're very adaptable for new opportunities in technology.
Mhm.
But when it comes to working to understand how to develop a placement for a specific type of application. They really just evolved on their own just by listening to our clients. I had a condo association in California call me up and say, hey, could you make this wall hatch? Well, we've had the idea for some time, but we haven't really executed on it. And if you're willing to do that, we'd be glad to work with you on that project. So just by listening to others and what their needs are, that's really helped us develop all of our solutions. But from a I guess something that's more visible to an architect, say they have a project, when you just look at the landscape of the project, how is this project going to evolve? Is it commercial placement, that requires a wall hatch, or maybe is it an aviation placement for parts that maybe they don't want people coming into a restricted area, so maybe more for a fenced in location where they want to keep those carriers out of an authorized location. So it really just depends on the delivery requirements, one, and then two, the security requirements that they're looking to achieve through those placements.
As someone who listens to my podcast knows, one of my favorite topics to discuss is sustainability. So I would be interested in learning how MB Sentinel addresses this topic.
That's an awesome question. I really didn't think about it so much until we actually submitted application for the Amazon Products of Tomorrow contest, which we're still waiting to understand if we're a finalist for that or not. And they asked the same question, which is very good. So when you think about it, and it really just gave me chills to think about this. Imagine if everyone had a secure place for their packages. Now imagine how fewer packages would be stolen, and how, and think about the resources saved by not having to make the redeliveries or, all the materials that go into replacing those items. It's to not have to make a second delivery. There's like 210 million packages stolen last year.
Wow.
So you can think about that and the impact that by having a secure delivery solution for those packages, how that would impact not having to, expend those resources a second time for something they already worked to accomplish once.
No, that's a great way to address it. I guess I never really knew the statistics of stolen packages. I didn't know it was quite so high.
It's mind-blowing. Yeah.
Do you think that COVID played a huge role in that? Like, since we did start shipping more?
It did. And COVID was crazy when that came on. I thought, oh, wow, what's going to happen now? We don't know. Are people going to be staying at home more? So now maybe they don't need the security of a parcel box, and maybe that's going to affect us. But really what happened, in my opinion, is people just became more comfortable shopping online. It's amazing how much that grew. I mean, it grew almost a decade worth and over that period of time. And so now the demand for our products is even greater than it ever was before. So it really helped us accelerate our business, due to the unfortunate pandemic of COVID.
Yeah, you said you like really kind of took off in 2020, so that would have been like right.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, April. It was like April Fool's Day. We moved out of our incubator shop into our accelerator here in Stephenville, and it's like the pandemic hit. You're like, wow, So here we are. We're in a new space. Our fixed costs are, quite a bit higher now. We're wondering what's going to happen next. But yeah, the way this has all come forward, it's just it's an incredible opportunity, and we're certainly in the right place at the right time, and have uncovered a need that people are just excited about.
From my understanding, your company has partnered with St. Jude Dream Home Project. Can you tell me a little bit more about why this appeals to you and your involvement?
Oh yeah, so going back to my backstory a little bit, I was a health food guy. I was Vitaman for almost 20 years, and during that period, I actually had a brokerage where I was helping this company develop awareness for their immune health supplement, right? So I ended up taking this product into some of the local hospitals here. There's like Cancer Treatment Centers of America. They were a hospital, and I worked with the folks there and got all the PhDs lined up for how our product would actually help people overcome the treatment side effects of cancer. And at that point in time, I thought, well, this is gonna be amazing, because through my personal experience working with parents and people that would come to our stores that had the hardship of helping family members overcome those types of diseases, my heart at that time, I really wanted to get this product to St. Jude's. And this is like back 2012. It was like, I felt like, well, there's a huge opportunity to work with St. Jude's, provided I have great success. And as it turned out, that that didn't work out so well with the first treatment center for a variety of reasons. But I thought, well, I'll just have to come back to that. And then, fast forward 2020, I have a call from a gentleman in Vancouver, Washington that says, hey, I'd like to develop a placement for your product in our St. Jude Dream Home. And I thought to myself, well, what St. Jude Dream Home? How does that? I never heard of the Dream Home Foundation. And from there, I got my start and developed the first placement with them. And just a week or so ago, we were at we were invited to the Building Summit for St. Jude's in Memphis, Tennessee, where we were actually launched as a regional supplier for St. Jude's. So yeah, we're excited to grow our relationship there. And that's such a great foundation. We're super excited to be a part of that.
No, that's really awesome. I mean, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny how it's all full circle, it's like, it's like a blend of passions that come together with everything. Seems like when you're in the right place with the right ideas and you get the green lights, right? So here we are.
That is true. When you get all the green lights and it all lines up in a row.
It does. You really have to, for young entrepreneurs, you have to really think about where you're at and what you're doing. And it honestly, it all comes together at some point. If you just keep working on things that you're passionate about, it's funny how they'll all finally just find synergy together if they're supposed to. If you're fortunate enough just to continue to have an opportunity to work with that.
No, I mean, I can't imagine putting that sounds like a lot of effort and to kind of get it all together and stuff. And for all of our young listeners who are dreaming about it,
oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know why Elon Musk lives at his office, right? Most of the time. It's like, that's really startup. I mean, that guy still lives a startup lifestyle. It's crazy, but it takes a lot of effort. It's just something you have to immerse yourself in, and you have to really consider who you have, in your family group, if you have a family, because it puts a lot of stress on a family when you're trying to do something like this. But so it takes a lot of support. You can have a great idea to do all these things, but you better check your support systems, along the way, because you're going to need them.
So cut out the haters before you start a business.
Yeah, or find a way to overcome them, right? So they'll always be there, but.
No, I totally understand. Well, I do have to ask my one silly question I ask all my interviewers. Yeah. So if you had an unlimited budget and a client who is willing to give you free reign over the scope and parameters of any project in the world, whatever you could think of, what would it be?
I thought about that, and thought, well, should I make a really cool mailbox? I mean, I've always loved making those. We already do, but what could I do to make that better? And I thought, further into that question, and honestly, I'd love to make a mailbox for Warren Buffett. This guy, yeah, I would. And there's, the reason for that is actually, we're a vendor for Acme Brick, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company. I thought if I could just have him experience our product, I just think that likely that would ignite a fire underneath, Acme Brick to further develop placements for our products. And I think that would just help us proliferate our business, which would help us, further expand the opportunity to help organizations like St. Jude's and so on. So really, it's more than just developing a cool placement. It's just more about developing a really cool company that has an opportunity to share, all of the fruits of our labor with others. Because I just think you can just imagine when you think about this, the opportunity to scale a business like this is incredible. So anyway, yeah, I'd love to develop a placement for Warren Buffett, because I think he's in a good place to help me grow the business.
All right. Well, I do have to ask, what does the future look like for both you and the company?
Yeah, the future, I mean, I see nothing but a vertical opportunity, and it's just, it's going to be interesting to see how the business scales. I think that likely what will happen is when we have our hero product, like the Box Gobbler, that product, the demand for that could likely exceed our ability to manufacture it ourselves. So we already have third-party manufacturing lined up for our hero products. So that way we can continue to focus, with the architects and the builders for our cabinet placements, which are definitely more comprehensive in their builds. So I see, how do we continue to accelerate our business and scale our business? One, either through, it may not just be to continue to build a larger company, which I know we will physically ourselves, but we may have to work to partner in that opportunity with some of the larger manufacturers, which means, somebody's going to have to probably make a move and live somewhere and just make sure we're on top of that to ensure we meet all the requirements that we have to ensure, the quality of our products are maintained.
Awesome. Well, how can anybody find you if they are interested in either purchasing the product or talking with you or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always, I'm active on LinkedIn. You just look up
Mhm.
Jeff Kudis on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. We have our company page there as well, which we've recently started. Go to mbsentinel.com, which is M is in male, B is in box, Sentinel, like the guard, Sentinel.
Mhm.
Or just search boxgobbler.com and you'll find us, which is so much easier, right? But
Yeah.
that's likely the best way to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with anyone that that we can help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there any last minute end of word advice you would like to give to anybody or an entrepreneurs or those listening?
I would just say, follow your passion, work hard, and try to look ahead. Make certain that, understanding persistence is one thing, right? You can persist, but, take a look at what you're doing with your time, and it might mean that it's time to pivot, but that doesn't mean that it's always, don't live your life on knee-jerk reactions just because things get going tough, but really work hard to measure the opportunities and whether or not that you're in the right place at the right time, with your ideas.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And we look forward to seeing where you guys continue to grow.
Yeah, Hollywood. Yeah, thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you once again for joining us this week. And if you are interested in speaking on the show, whether it's yourself, your firm, or just a topic you're particularly passionate about, don't hesitate to reach out to either the website or the email address. You can also send me a DM on Insta or Twitter or wherever. The names for everything is underneath Architecture Coffee and Ink. So please rate, review, and subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm excited to meet with all of my designers, dreamers, and DIY enthusiasts next week. But in the meantime, may your coffee mugs be full and your inkwells never run dry.